The alien bride had secrets when and her sisters were part of them. First contact, Doctor. Maya Chen fidgeted with the collar of her formal diplomatic uniform as the shuttle approached the gleaming spire of the United Earth Embassy. 6 months of intensive training hadn't prepared her for this moment, becoming the first human to enter a marital alliance with a Zephyrian from the distant world of Nixara. Remember, Dr. Chen, Ambassador Torres said beside her, this union symbolizes more than just a personal commitment. The Zephyrians value these bonds as the highest form of diplomatic trust. Maya nodded, her throat dry. I understand the stakes, Ambassador. I've studied their customs extensively. Torres smiled tightly. Books can only teach so much. Zephyrians are complex. The shuttle landed with a gentle thud. Maya smoothed her dark hair, taking a deep breath as the doors slid open to reveal a reception committee of tall, slender figures. Their purple skin gleamed like polished amethyst under the midday sun. In the center stood a Zephyrian slightly taller than the others, with intricate silver markings along their temples and cheekbones. This must be Kaylin, Maya realized, her future spouse. Welcome, Dr. Maya Chen of Earth, Kaylin spoke, voice melodious with an accent that made ordinary English sound like poetry. I am Kaylin, third child of House Varanix. It is an honor to meet the one who will join our houses. Maya stepped forward, executing the formal bow she'd practiced countless times. The honor is mine, Kaylin of House Varanix. When she straightened, Maya found herself captured by Kaylin's eyes, luminous silver irises that seemed to shimmer with their own light. Something unexpected fluttered in her chest. These are my sisters. Kaylin gestured to 2 Zephyrians standing slightly behind, Nilara and Vexia. The sisters stepped forward. Nilara, with shorter silver markings and a warm smile, took Maya's hand in both of hers. Welcome, sister-to-be. Vexia merely inclined her head, her expression unreadable, her markings more elaborate than either sibling. At the reception that followed, Maya found herself separated from Kaylin, whisked away by various diplomats eager to speak with the human brave enough to forge this unprecedented alliance. Across the room, she noticed the 3 siblings in what appeared to be an intense discussion, with Vexia gesturing sharply while Kaylin shook her head. Later, during the ceremonial first dance, Maya accidentally brushed her fingers against the inside of Kaylin's wrist. The Zephyrian inhaled sharply, silver eyes widening. I'm sorry, Maya whispered, mortified. Did I violate a custom? No, Kaylin replied, voice strangely husky. But on Nixara, touching another's pulse point is intimate. Across the room, Maya noticed both Nilara and Vexia had simultaneously touched their own wrists, their eyes fixed on Kaylin with an intensity that sent a shiver down Maya's spine. There was clearly much more to Zephyrian relationships than any briefing had covered. A whispers in the night. The Zephyrian embassy on Earth was a marvel of alien architecture, smooth curves and crystalline surfaces that caught the light in ways that defied human engineering. Maya's quarters were spacious and elegant, yet she still felt like a stranger in this new world that was technically still on her home planet. 2 weeks had passed since the formal introduction ceremony, and Maya was gradually adjusting to her role. Kaylin was attentive in public, the perfect diplomatic partner, but in private maintained a careful distance that left Maya confused. Their conversations were pleasant but guarded, as if Kaylin was constantly filtering thoughts before speaking. Nilara, by contrast, had appointed herself Maya's unofficial cultural guide. You must understand, she explained one afternoon as they walked through the embassy's indoor garden. Zephyrians communicate on multiple levels. Words are just the surface. You mean your telepathic abilities? Maya asked. The briefings had mentioned this, though details were scarce. Nilara's fingers trailed over a flower that resembled an orchid, but pulsed with bioluminescence. Yes, but it's more nuanced than your scientists understand. Between siblings, the connection is as profound. Vexia remained an enigma, appearing only at formal functions, her silver eyes watchful and wary whenever they settled on Maya. That night, unable to sleep, Maya wandered onto her private balcony. Voices drifted up from the garden below, the distinctive melodic tones of Zephyrian language. Peering down, she saw the 3 sisters in an intense discussion. Though she couldn't understand the words, the body language was clear. Vexia was agitated, Nilara placating, and Kaylin defensive. Only 3 words registered in Maya's limited Zephyrian vocabulary: Veska, bond, Narathi unforbidden, and surprisingly, her own name. When Kaylin visited her quarters the next evening, Maya decided directness was best. "I heard you arguing with your sisters last night," she said. "About me." Kaylin's silver eyes widened, markings briefly pulsing with light, a sign of surprise Maya had learned to recognize. "You misunderstood," Kaylin said carefully. "It wasn't an argument merely. A discussion about protocol. I heard my name," Maya pressed, "and something about a forbidden bond." Kaylin sighed, fingers tracing patterns on the crystalline table between them. "There are aspects of Zephyrian relationships that were deemed potentially uncomfortable for humans." "Try me," Maya challenged. After a long pause, Kaylin explained. "Siblings in our culture share a telepathic connection from birth. We feel each other's emotions, sometimes even physical sensations. It's part of who we are. And what does that have to do with our arrangement?" "Nothing that need concern you now," Kaylin said. But the quick glance away betrayed the lie. Later that week, Kaylin offered to teach Maya a Zephyrian meditation ritual to help bridge our cultural differences, as she put it. They sat facing each other in Maya's quarters, knees almost touching. "Close your eyes," Kaylin instructed softly, "and focus on your breathing." Maya complied, feeling slightly foolish until Kaylin's cool fingers gently pressed against her temples. Suddenly, a sensation like warm honey seemed to flow through her mind, alien yet incredibly intimate. For a brief, disorienting moment, she felt Kaylin's emotions, affection, curiosity, and beneath it all, a deep anxiety. When Maya gasped and opened her eyes, she found Kaylin staring at her with an expression of wonder and alarm. "That wasn't supposed to happen," Kaylin whispered, fingers trembling as they withdrew. "Humans aren't supposed to be receptive to the bond." The sisters' touch. "What exactly happened last night?" Maya demanded the following morning, cornering Kaylin in the embassy's library. Kaylin's silver markings pulsed with agitation. A momentary mental connection. It shouldn't have been possible. But it was, Maya insisted. "I felt you." The memory still lingered. That brief, intoxicating glimpse into another's consciousness, alien yet somehow familiar. Before Kaylin could respond, Nylara appeared in the doorway. Discussing the meditation experiment?" she asked with a knowing smile. "The ambassador requests your presence, Kaylin." "I'll keep Maya company." After Kaylin departed with obvious reluctance, Nylara linked her arm through Maya's. "Come, I've arranged a private viewing of Zephyrian art that might answer some questions. Better than my evasive sibling." The exhibition room housed holographic displays of swirling colors and patterns too complex for human eyes to fully process. "Our art represents emotional states and connections," Nylara explained. "This piece," she gestured to a particularly intricate display, "depicts a traditional marriage bond." Maya studied the visualization, 3 distinct color patterns intertwining, occasionally merging before flowing apart again. 3 patterns? But marriage is between 2 people, isn't it? Nylara's expression grew serious. "Not always in our culture. Zephyrian marriages traditionally involve all siblings of a family, to varying degrees." Maya stared at her, processing the implications. "You mean—" "The primary bond is between the married couple," Nylara clarified quickly. "But siblings remain connected. We don't have a concept of what humans call in-laws. When you marry one, you become family to all." "Family or something more?" Maya asked, her voice barely audible. Nylara's gaze was steady. "That depends on many factors, including the wishes of all involved." Before Maya could press further, alarms blared through the embassy. Security personnel rushed past the exhibition room and announcements in Zephyrian echoed through the halls. "What's happening?" Maya asked. "A security breach." Nylara grabbed Maya's hand. "We need to find Kaylin and Vexia." They found them in the Diplomatic Communications Center along with Ambassador Torres and several Zephyrian officials. Displays showed protesters gathering outside the embassy, humans carrying signs with anti-alien slogans. "A planned demonstration," Torres explained grimly. "Intelligence suggests they may attempt to breach the perimeter. We need to coordinate security," Kaylin said, turning to her sisters. Maya watched in fascination as the 3 Zephyrians moved into a triangular formation, their silver markings glowing in synchrony. They didn't speak, Yet their actions became perfectly coordinated as they operated different security systems with eerie precision. Ambassador Torres leaned toward Maya. Impressive, isn't it? Their sibling telepathy makes them extraordinarily efficient in crisis situations. It's more than telepathy, Maya murmured, noticing how Vexia flinched when Kalen's hand was briefly caught in a closing panel. They feel what each other feels. After the crisis was contained and the protesters dispersed, Maya confronted Kalen in her private quarters. No more evasions, she demanded. What exactly am I agreeing to in this marriage? What role do your sisters play? Kalen stared out at the Earth night. The purple hue of her skin deepened in the dim light. You're right to ask, she said finally, turning to face Maya. And you deserve the truth even if it ends our arrangement. Maya stepped closer, her heart racing as Kalen's silver eyes met hers. I'm listening. Kalen took Maya's hands, and this time the mental connection flowed more easily between them. Not just emotions now, but images, concepts beyond words. Maya gasped as understanding bloomed in her mind. Beautiful and alien and frightening all at once. This is what it means to love as a Zephyrian, Kalen whispered. Not just with one heart, but with many. Forbidden harmony, the revelation lingered between them like a tangible thing, beautiful and terrifying in equal measure. Maya sat on the edge of her bed, trying to process what Kalen had shown her through their mental connection. So when Zephyrians marry, she said slowly, the spouse becomes connected to their partner's siblings too? Through this neural bond? Kalen nodded, silver markings pulsing gently. To varying degrees, yes. The primary bond is always between the married pair, but the siblings remain present in a sense. And this is why your government didn't fully disclose these details to Earth's diplomatic corps. They feared humans wouldn't understand, Kalen admitted. That you would see it as inappropriate or threatening to your concept of monogamy. Our psychologists studied human relationship structures and determined that our ways might be perceived as invasive. Maya laughed without humor. So instead, you let me enter this arrangement half-informed? That's hardly better. It wasn't my decision, Kalen said, a note of frustration in her melodic voice. I argued for full disclosure from the beginning. A soft knock interrupted them. The door slid open to reveal Vexia, her expression uncharacteristically uncertain. May I enter? She asked, her gaze fixed on Maya rather than her sibling. Maya nodded, curious. This was the first time Vexia had sought her out privately. I've come to explain my behavior, Vexia said formally, remaining standing while the others sat. My distance has not been out of dislike for you, Dr. Chen. Maya, please, she corrected automatically. Maya, Vexia acknowledged with a slight inclination of her head. My reluctance stems from fear, here, Maya echoed, surprised. When siblings share our bond and one marries, all are affected, Vexia explained. If you reject this aspect of our nature, as would be your right, it could diminish my connection to Kalen. A partial severing. Understanding dawned on Maya. You're afraid of losing your sister. Parts of her, yes, Vexia confirmed, particularly if your union progresses to its fullest expression. Which is why she argued against the match, Kalen added softly. Maya looked between the two siblings, sensing the complex emotions flowing between them, without needing telepathic abilities to interpret the tension. And Nilara seems to favor it strongly. Why? She is more adventurous, Vexia said with the barest hint of disapproval, and more hopeful that humans and Zephyrians can truly integrate. Maya stood, pacing the room as she considered implications that no human diplomat had likely faced before. I need to understand exactly what this would mean. For all of us. Later that evening, all four gathered in the embassy's meditation chamber, a serene space with walls that seemed to absorb sound and light in equal measure. They sat in a circle on cushions placed on the floor, knees almost touching. This is not a commitment, Kalen assured Maya. Merely an educational demonstration, if you're willing. Maya nodded, curiosity overcoming apprehension. I want to understand. Nilara smiled encouragingly while Vexia remained solemn, but Maya noticed her markings pulsed in synchrony with her siblings, a visual representation of their constant connection. Close your eyes, Kalen instructed softly, and remember the feeling from our previous connection. Maya complied, focusing on her breathing as gentle fingertips touched her temples. Kalen's on one side, Nilara's on the other. A moment later, Vexia completed the circle, her cool fingers brushing against Kalen and Nilara's hands. The sensation began as it had before, that warm, honey feeling flowing through her mind, but rapidly expanded into something far more complex. She sensed Kalen most strongly, affection, hope, and nervous anticipation. But beyond that, like music in another room, came Nilara's bright curiosity and, more distantly, Vexia's cautious respect tinged with lingering fear. Most surprising was how natural it felt, how the alien minds seemed to welcome her without overwhelming her individuality. When they finally broke contact, Maya's cheeks were wet with tears she hadn't realized she'd shed. That was, she whispered, lacking adequate words. Just an echo of the true bond, Kalen said gently. But enough to understand, perhaps? Maya looked at each sister in turn. Kalen's hopeful expression, Nilara's encouraging smile, even Vexia's cautious respect. In that moment, something shifted in her understanding of connection, of family, of love itself. I think, she said slowly, human relationships suddenly seem very lonely by comparison. Bonds beyond worlds. The anti-alien protests outside the embassy intensified over the following weeks. What had begun as a fringe movement gained momentum as conservative political figures denounced the unnatural alliance between Earth and Nixara. They fear what they don't understand, Ambassador Torres said grimly during an emergency meeting. And someone is deliberately feeding that fear with misinformation about Zephyrian culture. Perhaps we should postpone the union ceremony, one of the Earth diplomats suggested. Wait until tensions ease. Postponement would be seen as weakness by our opponents, Torres countered, and as doubt by the Zephyrian government. We need this alliance now more than ever. Maya sat quietly during these discussions, her personal decision now entwined with interplanetary politics. In private, she had spent countless hours with Kalen and, increasingly, with both sisters, learning about their culture and the true nature of the bond she was considering. Once formed, the connection is permanent, Kalen had explained. Even across the vastness of space, we would remain linked. And if I were to die? Maya had asked, ever the practical scientist. Kalen's expression had grown solemn. A part of us would die with you. The loss of a bonded one leaves a void that never quite heals. That's why this decision cannot be rushed, Vexia had added, her initial coldness now replaced by protective concern, for your sake as well as ours. The night before the scheduled ceremony, Maya stood on her balcony gazing at the stars, knowing that somewhere among them was Nixara, a world she might soon be connected to in ways no human had experienced before. A soft knock announced Nilara's presence. Trouble sleeping? She asked, joining Maya at the railing. Just thinking about tomorrow, about everything that will change. You can still decline, Nilara said gently. None would think less of you. Maya smiled. I think Vexia might be relieved. She worries, Nilara acknowledged. But she has also grown to respect you deeply. We all have. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment before Nilara spoke again. May I show you something? A tradition from our world? At Maya's nod, Nilara produced a small crystal vial containing what appeared to be luminescent liquid. She unstoppered it and let 3 drops fall onto her palm. The droplets swirled with the same silver color as the siblings' markings. This is essence of lumina, a flower that grows only on Nexara, she explained. In our bonding ceremonies, it represents the merging of separate lives into something new and beautiful. She gently took Maya's hand and transferred 1 droplet to her palm. The liquid felt cool at first, then warm, then seemed to pulse in time with her heartbeat. Watch, Nilara whispered. As Maya observed, the droplet began to emit tendrils of silver light that rose into the air between them, forming complex patterns similar to the Zephyrian artwork she had seen. It responds to your essence, Nilara explained. No 2 patterns are ever the same. The ceremony the following day combined Earth traditions with Zephyrian customs. Maya wore a gown of shifting blues and silvers designed to complement Kalen's formal attire, while Nilara and Vexia wore simpler versions of the same colors, symbolizing their connection. As protesters chanted beyond the security perimeter, inside the embassy's Great Hall, diplomats from a dozen worlds gathered to witness this unprecedented union. The human officiant spoke of bridges between worlds and new beginnings. The Zephyrian elder spoke of bonds that transcended physical distance and cultural differences, When the moment came for Maya's final decision, she looked not just at Kaylin but at all three siblings, now familiar in ways she could never have imagined weeks before. "I choose this bond," she said clearly, in its fullest expression. "I accept not just one life joined with mine, but the connection to all." The Zephyrian elder's markings pulsed with approval as she produced a crystal bowl containing the Lumina essence. As instructed, Maya and Kaylin placed their palms over the liquid, with Nylara and Vexia resting their hands lightly on their siblings' shoulders. The sensation began subtly, a warmth spreading from Maya's palm up her arm and into her chest. Then suddenly, like a dam breaking, her mind expanded. Kaylin's presence flooded in first, strong and clear, a tide of emotions and memories that somehow didn't overwhelm her human consciousness. Beyond that, like stars at different distances, she sensed Nylara's bright spirit and Vexia's complex, thoughtful presence. Most remarkably, she could feel their awareness of her, their wonder at experiencing a human mind from within, their affection, their acceptance. When she opened her eyes, the gathered diplomats erupted in applause, unaware of the profound communion taking place before them. To them it was a political alliance sealed with exotic ritual. Only Maya understood it was something far more significant. The first true melding of human and Zephyrian consciousness, a bridge between species that no treaty could match. Later, as they stood receiving congratulations from the assembled dignitaries, Maya felt a newfound confidence flowing through the bond, not just her own, but the collective strength of four minds now connected across the boundaries of biology and culture. "How do you feel?" Ambassador Torres asked quietly during a brief private moment. Maya smiled, glancing at her new family standing nearby.
"Like I've discovered a new dimension of existence," she replied.
"And like I've finally come home, even while standing on Earth." Through the bond, she felt Kaylin's surge of joy at her words, Nylara's warm agreement, and most satisfying of all, Vexia's quiet acknowledgement that her fears had been unfounded. As night fell over the embassy, the four of them stood on the balcony looking up at the stars, no longer distant and cold, but connected by invisible threads of consciousness that defied human science and Zephyrian tradition alike. "This is just the beginning," Maya said softly, feeling the truth of her words resonating through the bond. "Not just for us, but for both our worlds." Above them, the stars seemed to pulse in harmony with the silver markings that now adorned not just Zephyrian skin, but Maya's temples as well, a visible symbol of the invisible bonds that would forever link their destinies across the vast expanse of space.